Hey folks, I'm here with Steve from Old Bones Fabrication, and we're going to talk about this rod, and then we're going to talk about this husky.
Yep.
So let's talk about this rod first. So, what year is it? Where is it from? What's the story?
It's a 1929 Ford Model A, obviously over from the States. I don't know whereabouts its origin is from, but I think it was brought over back in 2015, 2016. The customer might kill me because I might be wrong with that. But it come into his hands in 2017 and 2018. He got hold of it, and he'd had... It came over. It was like a show rod. It done its rounds in America, and it was matte black when it came over. It had the Hemi in it, but it looked obviously nothing like this. Yeah. And it was a lovely looking rod, but it was kind of you know what the Americans like to do. They buy a chassis, buy the bits, and everything was bolted on. It looked nice.
Yeah.
When he brought over, it just wasn't really good enough when he got his hands on it. He had a lot of work done in it here and there, and it was just never really what he wanted. So yeah, that's when he got in touch with us, and we started the process of rebuilding it.
I'm Jane Gray with a thought for today. Like a lighthouse to a sailor is the light in your local drugstore to you when illness or accidents strike. When other stores...
So what was the brief? Was the full strip and rebuild, or did he have like an end goal in mind? Did he know where he was heading with it?
It's one of those classic stories we hear where it comes in for a set of spark plugs and ends up with a 2,000-hour restoration. Yeah. That's basically how it started. It came with a few problems, and he wanted our spin on a few things he wanted to do with it. And it just kind of progressed quite quickly from there. We found we tore through the thing, found a lot of problems with it. Down to the chassis and the engine as well, and it just grew from there. The build did. The engine was a full tear down, and it was absolutely destroyed inside. How it was running, we don't know, and that was the main reason he bought it to us in the first place. He couldn't get it running right. It was on a triple carb setup before, and he was taking it to shows, and he could never get the thing running properly, and you see it was embarrassing. He just breaking down all over the place. So one of the things we suggested at the time was fuel injecting it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, trying to keep the kind of traditional theme running through.
Doors are closed. Your druggist is open, ready for every emergency.
So let's talk about the engine then. So
yeah, of course.
Seeing as you brought us nicely onto it. So what's it running?
So it's a 1956 Chrysler Hemi firepower, 354. We've had it stripped down. It's been rebored out to 365 cubic inches now.
And it's literage.
It's about 5.8 litres.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'll
yeah. So for what it's such a heavy block. So with the engine and gearbox alone, it must be nearly half a ton.
Wow.
Yeah, solid cast.
So it's fairly solid.
It's it's pretty well built. It's the godfather of the V8 engines, so they're so strong, and the torque on it is just absolutely monumental as well.
So are you running fuel injection here?
Yeah. So the fuel injection system we went for, there's a few different choices, and we went for the Phytec we went for simply because of the cost option. It was the first Phytec tri-power set that was brought over here, and the cost was just so appealing. We'd heard kind of mixed reviews on Phytec, so we were a bit unsure about it. The customers were like, right, let's go for it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But to be honest, since we've had it on there, we've had a couple of issues, but I mean the tech feedback is amazing from Phytec at the minute, and everything's been resolved, and it's been running sweet ever since. It starts on the button.
Perfect.
So which is the main goal of what we wanted to achieve when it first came to us, having it running and driving, without any issues.
Yeah, it's all well and good having a car that looks great, but if you can't take it anywhere, what's the point?
Yeah, exactly. That was the thing. He hated it. He would have all these people go up in his car saying how amazing it was, and he'd go to start it, and there'd be flood pouring out the exhaust headers, be coughing, backfiring, and he'd be breaking down all the time. So it takes the fun out of it when it's that much mature.
Exactly. So Metalwork wise, you are a fabrication company. What have you done to it?
Metalwork wise, so you can see it's obviously been roof chopped, but that was done pre coming over to the United Kingdom. And as much I'd like to tidy it up and make it look refine it a bit more, the customer wanted it left as it was, so you can see all the scarring throughout its life it's had.
The history of the car in plain sight.
Yeah, it was very important to him to keep that. But what he was really fed up of doing, it was obviously it's been bare metaled, and he was trying to preserve it by coating it with WD-40 all the time. And he said it's frustrating because he was getting white, getting it all on his sleeves and his clothes. So he wanted us to do something about it. So he's heard, there's a lot of rumours going around with patinated cars with what to use to preserve them. So boiled linseed oil and beeswax, all that kind of stuff. We've started using a product. This is actually industrial satin lacquer on this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
it doesn't look lacquer. That's really impressive.
It doesn't, no. And what's appealing about it, it was a bit of a risk when we were using it. So, because obviously it had been pinstriped with an enamel paint, and the guy who done the pinstriping work said, don't lacquer it because it will react.
Yeah.
But we've done a test piece and used this industrial satin lacquer and dusted it over, a couple of light drop coats, and then a heavy one over, and it stuck. And we're worried because obviously this had years and years of WD-40 embedded into the metal and the rust. But we tried it and it's worked, and it's held up really good. It's really, really good durable stuff. So he's never got to worry about wax, WD-40, any of that kind of stuff again.
It all looks how it looks, and that's how it's going to look.
I'm Jane Grey with a thought for today. Remember, friends, your druggist is continually studying to keep abreast of what.
Other metalwork wise, we've done a lot of kind of bespoke touches in it. So we're having overheating issues. We didn't have a rad cowl on it originally, so we've made this radiator cowl for the fan. Because what it was doing, it was getting too hot and boiling the transmission fluid for the gearbox.
Okay, so boiling
the engine wasn't too bad, but the gearbox was just getting ridiculously hot, and when it was getting that hot, the oil was heating up that much, the gearbox was slipping.
Jeez.
So we've added the third transmission coil behind there, and then the cowl. That's all been hand fabricated by us and brazed, just to keep it. Again, you can see this finish on here. That's all been used in the same satin clear we've used on the body.
I like the way that even though you've got the EFI, you've got the copper pipes, you've got, it all fits in quite nicely.
Yeah.
But there is a tech element to it. Like, it looks like something's going on.
Yeah,
but it's
does,
not so glaring that you're like, oh, clearly this is running modern bits and pieces. It's quite nicely done.
It's quite quite a charm to the engine bay, I think, leaving the fuel injection system as it is.
Yeah.
You can, rather than disguising it, you can obviously see that it's just got that one little bit of modern tech in there.
Yeah.
And it looks quite nice. It fits around everything.
No, it does.
Quite well.
And I think because you've got the copper details and everything, it sort of
definitely
pulls it all together.
It's a very kind of steampunk vibe to it.
Yeah.
The customer is a tattoo artist, and his whole tattoo studio is themed the same throughout this car.
Okay. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool place to be in.
Cool. Let's have a look on the inside.
Of course,
that often tells you how someone's aesthetic lives. Wow, that's amazing.
So again, we've hand fabricated all the aluminium panels. You can see up in the roof there as well. All the insides, all had wraparound aluminium panels, bespoke made.
You in the field of medicine. He works closely with your doctor. Look to this team for sound advice on your medicinal needs.
So the roof wood was all good, like, or has that been replaced?
It had a roof skin on it.
Oh, okay.
So he wanted to put. Originally, they had a wooden slat roof in there with like a vinyl roof insert. So he wanted to put turn it back to original and put like a wooden slat frame back in. We cut the roof skin off that had been welded on there, and the whole frame was so wobbly. So that's why you can see it's not a roll cage, it's almost like a roll frame. Just to tie the body in together, it was so
just
frail.
Give it a bit more rigidity.
Yeah. And then that's why we decided to make this steel frame.
Yeah, I can say this thick frame, that makes the thick frame
Yeah,
make sense there.
and this bolts the whole frame together, and it's attached to the roll cage and everything, and it ties everything in a bit tighter. And then we've had these are Rocker hardwood CNC slats we've had made. Luckily, we're right next to a wood joinery.
Oh.
Yeah, it comes in handy.
It's always good to have neighbours.
Yeah. So yeah, we've carried out that kind of whole bare metal steel and that kind of wood theme and natural theme going through onto the roof as well.
So inside leather seats on the metal buckets.
Yeah, these original aviation seats. Not sure of their origin. I think they came with the car, but they're untouched. We haven't done anything to those. The customer had the seats retrimmed by a chap up near his way. I can't remember his name, unfortunately. We've handmade the shifter.
Speedos on the above the screen.
We've got that's an aviation style Quadzilla Speedo, so all-in-one dials. Again, we've had a leather headliner put up there, and the pinstripe and detail has been carried through onto the leather as well.
That's really nice. That's a nice touch.
The name of it, Nirvana, isn't after the band. His son's called Nirvana.
Oh.
So
is he named after the band?
I don't know. I guess so. Yeah.
Let's go around the back. What have we got? This tank. Is that fuel or is that?
That's a fuel tank.
Yeah.
In the whole build, that's the only thing that's kind of been bought and untouched. All we've done to modify that, it was polished stainless. We've just brushed it and fitted a different fuel sender pickup in there.
Perfect.
So that's the only thing that's been unmodified and untouched.
So
really.
when you lower it this far, you lose all of the vertical space in the boot to put fuel tanks. So it has to go somewhere.
You do. Yeah.
Is this a clamshell? This
is
here?
like.
Oh, I see. So that lives
yeah,
inside.
it's just a storage compartment.
Oh, that's neat. That's really neat.
So we incorporated this. Originally, he had a leisure battery and a stereo in here. But as the build progressed, we decided it wasn't really a feature that he needed to have or he wanted in the car. So we got rid of it, but we kept with this, and then he's got a bit of storage space in there.
Yeah.
Where in here, where it houses the stoppers to keep the doors open. They're just show stoppers, so when you're at a show, you just prop those up there.
Just always handy.
Yeah, and the rest is just extra aesthetic detail, really.
Nice. I really.
And this was a gift I got for the customer. It's an old original Ford leather tool roll.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. So that was a little surprise when he come down one time, and I said, "Oh, I've managed to get this for you," and yeah, so that's just a nice little touch.
Brilliant. I like the use of material with the wood and the leather and just everything and the copper. It all sort of ties together in a nice aesthetic.
It was really hard to get the blend just right in the detail, because there's so much brass, there's copper, there's aluminium, there's leather, there's wood. Getting that mix just right was quite hard.
Well, it's also restraining yourself. I see some cars that go down that sort of brass coppery route and they just go all in on everything. It's just too far, but this is nicely restrained. Same with the leather as well. Sometimes you see interiors that are just acres and acres of brown leather.
I know,
and it's like not horrible, but it's like if you dialed it back a bit, it'll be even better.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
And I think that's quite
Sometimes
nice.
less is more, isn't it?
Yeah, particularly on what is ostensibly a rat rod. Like rat rods can. Part of their charm is sometimes they can go completely over the top.
Definitely,
but like unless you're going all of that way, a little bit of restraint sometimes helps.
Definitely, yeah. But rat rods, they were initially rat rods, weren't they? Because they were just mongrels built from what people could find around the place, around the junkyard, around the shed and stuff like that. And this was just like, I don't like to class this as a rat rod, because in my eyes it's not a rat. It's more like a hot rod with a bit of a rat rod theme to it.
It's a patinated rod. That whole thing has evolved now. Like it's
definitely,
it's a whole thing of its own.
I'm Jane Grey with a thought for today. Always remember that pharmacy is a most exacting science. That's why your druggist has undergone long years of training and college education. Buy your drug needs from your...
And one thing we haven't touched on yet is the wheels.
The wheels, yeah.
So they look to be, I guess, original wheels reconditioned, or?
No, that's where you're on. These are probably the world's first set of wheels built like this.
Well, we definitely should talk about them.
Yeah. It was, when it came to us, it had just steel smoothies on them. And it was quite a nice look with big tall white walls. But it just didn't sit right with the body. And so I suggested going wire wheels. And he was all for it. And with the power, we didn't want to get original wire wheels because I don't think they would just be man enough. Luckily, I got hold of like a wire wheel builder. He's one of only a handful in the country, and he's literally a mile down the road from me.
Fabulous.
Yeah. And he come in, and I had this idea of banding some wire wheels. And he said it was something he'd always wanted to do, but never known of it being done. So we put our heads together and come up with this. Yeah.
Fantastic.
We had a guy working for us at the time when we were building it, who used to do all our custom wheels for us, banded wheels. And so him and Nick Mount, the wire wheel builder, got together and come up with this design. And all the centres have been hand engineered to the stud pattern as well.
It's just brilliant.
They've been finished in gloss black powder coat, and obviously you can see all the nipples and everything that have been copper plated as well.
Yeah, it's another nice detail that ties it together.
Yeah, it was a very laborious task because they've all been hand polished. Because when you get stuff copper plated, it doesn't come out like that. It comes out like very, very matte and grainy, and almost like a sandy effect to it. So all the copper had to be hand polished, and you think there's I don't know, 40-50 nipples per wheel. So our apprentice at the time,
It all gives the job for the apprentice.
it broke him. It broke him. It really did. It was just for days on a drill with his own little jig, polishing each nipple up.
Oh,
bless him. But he done an amazing job, and they look fabulous. Yeah,
they're really superb.
And the idea with the copper is that it will kind of.
Like I say, it'll patinate over time. Won't it?
It will. Yeah.
That's what you preempted my question. That's exactly what I was wondering. Because over time, this will actually change, not shape, but it will change atmosphere, as it were. It will
Definitely,
change
it will do. Yeah,
over time.
It will
age.
do.
That's the word we're looking for.
It'll age nicely and gracefully.
Yeah. That'll be a lovely thing.
Druggist.